It's important that you have a good firm work surface to create the seat pan kit on. And you need a good firm table so that as you're rolling the clay out, the table doesn't give. But pretty much any surface would work. I usually put down a piece of cardboard and tape it to the work surface so it doesn't move around on you. And then I'll have another piece of cardboard. We usually put the clay out onto one piece of cardboard to get them out of the containers, knead them together, and then set that piece aside so you've got a clean work surface to work on as we start rolling it out. The rubber gloves or vinyl gloves that we provide 2 pairs in the kit. Nothing special about them. We provide 2 pairs because you may have an issue of tearing one, puncturing one. The material is non-toxic, so it doesn't hurt to get it on your hands. If you do get it on your hands, wash it off with warm soapy water within 5 to 10 minutes. After that, it starts to harden as any epoxy might, as you would expect, and it's a little tougher to get off your hands. It'll wear off your hands, but I use rubber gloves just so we don't have to worry about that. As I mentioned, I've got another piece of cardboard that I put down on the work surface to get the product out. It is a 2-part, as I mentioned. This is the black component, and this is the white component. We've had them mixed in 2 contrasting colors, so as you'll see, as we start to mix them together, you can clearly see when they're mixed, when they're completely mixed. So, we just start to take it out of the containers. This is maybe the toughest part of the job, as a matter of fact. I usually just work around the outside. It is a stiff component, and the cooler it is, the stiffer it is. You can put it in a microwave to heat it up a little bit to soften it, but I usually just take my time and work with it. I tell guys the clay is fairly firm and it's somewhat sticky, but if you just have some patience and work through it, in 20 to 30 minutes you've got a finished seat pan, and it's well worth the time of working with it. So I usually just work around the outside to start loosening it from the container. And you may break a stick here or there. There's nothing special about the stir sticks that we provide either. There's a product that we've added to this kit that makes the job a little easier as well. As I mentioned, it is sticky on your gloves. This calcium carbonate is just a marble dust. Put some of it out on the work surface for you just to pat your hands in, and as you're working with the clay to pull it out of the container, or later when we're kneading it together, the powder is really your best friend in making this work easier. So once you get the 2 parts out of the containers, then you pick them up and just start to fold it together. Again, this is where as it gets sticky, just rub your hand in the material. Actually, depending on how firm the material is, it's fine to add about half the powder right into the material. It helps to add a little body to it, and just in general it makes it less sticky on your hands to work with. At this point, the 2 components together make a big enough ball of clay that it's difficult to, well, it's heavy to handle. So I usually get them where they're just basically mixed together, and then pull it apart into 2 pieces. It starts to get heavy and it makes your arms tired. So pull it apart into 2 balls, work on one to get it fully mixed together. So again, once you get the 2 halves kneaded together, put them together into 1 wad and make a final blending just to make sure you got all the 2 components mixed together and the white powder mixed together. Looks like we're good. Once we've done that, I'm ready to pull this piece of cardboard and set it aside and prepare my work surface to roll the clay down. Okay, now that we've got the clay out of its containers and prepared, ready to roll out, these are 2 what I call rolling rails. They're just really doorstop, 5/16 inch thick doorstop, which is the thickness that we recommend you make your pan at. Several guys have asked me if they can make it thinner than that. I say if you know that it's fully supported by a fender or whatever, go at your own risk, and it can be done thinner, but we recommend 5/16 of an inch thick. Set these rails approximately. We also provide the rolling pins. Set them approximately the distance of the rolling pin apart to allow plenty of room in between for the clay. And we just tape them down to the work surface. And then the fiberglass manning that we provide. The strength of the kit is if anything, stronger than you'll ever need it to be. It is a 2-part clay epoxy, as I mentioned. It also has a Kevlar pulp mixed in with it to add some fiber and body and strength. And then, as I mentioned, we provide this fiberglass manning as the base for the seat pan. Once the manning is available, it's fine just to let the manning overlap on the rails. You'll end up, this mat is plenty wider than what you'll need for a seat, but this will give you more than enough area to roll the seat pan material out onto. Okay, and once you've marked the acetate that we provide for the approximate size of the seat that you need on the bike, you'll use this to determine the amount of clay, the size of the pan that we need to create. So I've got that. I will take my clay material. I'll give it one last mixing just to mix in the last bit of clay and powder. And then I start to work it in the length of the pan. Instead of trying to do all of the rolling, I start to work it out into about the shape that we'll need. You'll find, and we'll probably see here, this is well more material than what I need, but I'll get it out in the approximate shape. Compare the acetate pattern with the length. That's about the right length. And I'll start to push it out. And again, instead of trying to do all of this by the rolling pin, this saves you a lot of work. Just use your hands to... I know already I'm going to have more than enough material, so I'm going to pull some of it away and set it aside. You actually have about a 3-hour working period before the material starts to cure, to harden at all. So you've got plenty of time to get it rolled out and you figured out the size you need. Once I got the clay pressed out to approximately the size of the seat pan that I need, and I go ahead and I put the acetate right down. Again, it shows me, the black line shows me the shape that I need. I put that down as kind of a shield as I begin to roll the clay out so that the clay doesn't stick to my roller. I just roll it pretty much from the middle back and from the middle forward. This is where a firm work surface becomes important, because if you're on a lighter weight table that gives, it's hard to roll the material down to the thickness of the rolling rails. Now that I've got it rolled out pretty much to the size of my area that I need, I can see that I have plenty of material on one side, but I need a little bit more material down here on the other side. So I can come in, and even just use the stirring stick or putty knife or anything, kind of score that in the area that I don't need. Pick this up off of the fiberglass. And I need some on both sides a little bit, so I'll break off one piece, put it over on this side, and put the rest on the other side over here where I need it. And then finish rolling it out. I'm not going to finish trimming the seat pan clay to the exact size of the line at this point. I'm just going to pull the acetate off the top of it. Now we'll just pick this all up and carry it to the bike.